Because when it comes to political action, the Virginia AFL-CIO just doesn't talk the talk. You walk the walk. And I want to tell you that working people who work the country over are a lot better off for it. See, brothers and sisters, I'm not talking about an organization that's run from the top down. Instead, you've been forging a movement from the grassroots up. It's a movement of UAW families down in Dublin and up in Fredericksburg. It's a movement of tobacco workers and firefighters and machinists in Richmond. It's a movement of AFL-CIO members up in Northern Virginia fighting back against privatization. It's the building trades standing up to create the high-skill, high-wage jobs that Virginia needs. It's CWA and IBEW pushing back and saying hell no to Verizon. It's a movement of students, postal workers, mechanical workers, and it's coal miners down in Buchanan County. It's the ILA members out of the docks of Norfolk. It's steel workers at Local 8888 bargaining for justice and Newport News. It's one movement of men and women, young and old, white collar, blue collar, every race, every faith, joining together, working together, fighting together, winning together, brothers and sisters. That's what the labor movement is all about. That's what solidarity is all about. And by God, that's what being a trade unionist in the Commonwealth of Virginia is all about. And I'm here to tell you that your unity, your strength, your commitment, your courage has never been more needed for the future of organized labor and, quite frankly, the future of our country than it is right now. As trade unionists, we really don't need to hear a bunch of statistics to know what's happening in Virginia, do we? We see the casualties every single day out there. You see high school grads who not only can't afford community college, they can't afford to move out of their parents' home. You see them working in dead-end jobs trying to sell TVs in Circuit City and breaking their backs working minimum wage jobs at nursing homes. They're not statistics. They're people that we know. You see men and women who spent their entire working lives doing exactly what they were supposed to do. They played by the rules and they honored each one of them. They worked hard, bring home a paycheck. They try to put a little aside for their kids, paying for their mortgage, hoping that maybe someday, just someday, they can retire. But what do they do when the company tanks? Or what do they do when it packs up and moves to China? Or what do they do when they lose their health care but they're too young for Medicare? What do they do when the pensions that they were counting on are worth pennies on the dollar? You see, they're not statistics. These are people that we know, people that we grew up with. They're losing their savings and they're maybe 3 or 4 paychecks away from losing their home. They're living on hope, and they're living on credit cards. And you listen to what's happening to them, and I think, but for the grace of God, that could be me, or that could be any one of us if our plant shut down and we were thrown out of work. Now, does anybody here remember how all those people piled on Barack Obama after he said that a lot of working people in this country are angry? You remember the reaction? The nerve of him to say that working people are angry. Well, I don't know about you, but I happen to think that that was one of the most honest things that someone running for president has said in a long Well, hell yes, we're angry. And you know something? We have a right to be angry after 30 years of what we've been getting. Because while working people are barely hanging on by our fingernails, corporate America has never, ever, ever done better before. See, brothers and sisters, the problem isn't that there isn't enough money. We're living in a country with more than $13 trillion a year in income. It's the richest country on the face of the earth at its most rich point in time. The problem isn't that there isn't enough money. It's where the money's going. Well, let's look at the oil industry. You know, it's hard. It's not hard to figure out which filling stations are charging too much for gas. It's the ones that are open, right? Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you know someone who makes $1,486 a week? Raise your hand. Come on, you know some people who make $1,486 a week. All right. How many of you know someone who makes $1,486 a day? Well, brothers and sisters, ExxonMobil makes $1,486 every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month. Working people are being taken to the cleaners. And big oil companies are laughing all the way to the bank. That's the America that we've become after almost 8 years of George Bush and Dick Cheney. Now, I want to take a little poll. If you're happy with that, if you think America ought to keep going in the same direction that Georgie Boy and Dickie Boy have been taking us, well, just stand right on up. I'm assuming the people in the back of the room didn't understand the question back there. And the guys walking down the hall didn't understand it either. Now, stand up if you think it's time that we had a president who's going to fight back against big oil, who's going to work for national health care, who's going to bring us fair trade, and who's going to try to use free contracts. Well, brothers and sisters, congratulations, because you just figured out the question that's stumping all the commentators and the columnists and all the consultants up in Washington, D.C. It's how Barack Obama is going to win the votes of working people in Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania and right here in Virginia. How can he do it? He just showed how he can do it. By speaking about the issues that matter to working people and our families and our future. Between now and Election Day, we need to make it personal. We need to make it our business to educate these folks. We need to tell them that if they care about holding on to their jobs and their health care and their pensions and their homes, if they care about child care and pay equity for women workers, if they want to leave their children a better, fairer, more decent America than the one that's been given to us, there's only one candidate on the ballot this fall that's earned their votes, only one candidate who's going to stand up for their families, only one candidate who believes that the way things are isn't the way things have to be, and his name is Barack Obama, and November 4th, he's voting.